they wake up on the harmony of the seas. That would be nice. Why doesn't that happen in real life? Welcome back, travel fans. I'm Morgan from the very unofficial travel guides. Today, in front of the red sofa, I'm going to be talking about the film Like Father. All right, just to get this out of the way in advance, this is not becoming a film review channel. The reason that I'm going to talk about this film is because a large part of it was filmed on the Royal Caribbean Harmony of the Seas cruise ship. So that's why I think it's relevant to this channel, and that's why I want to talk about it. But before I even do that, there's something else I want to mention, and that is, you may have noticed in the last few days on my Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, I've been posting some pictures of the Norwegian Joy, which is going to be cruising to Alaska. And you can do me a huge favor by going to find all those pictures right now and liking them and commenting something on them. And I'll tell you why. For the first time in forever, there's a little Kristen Bell reference. It's going to be coming up. She's coming up soon. What I'm trying to say is, wow, that tangent even threw me off course. Finally, I'm sort of partnering with Norwegian Cruise Lines. I'm in this influencer program that they've started, and if this little sort of tryout goes well, then I think I have the chance to be put into more of these social media campaigns with them, which leads to being able to, or getting access to more special things, which ultimately leads to being able to make more videos. So please, if you are on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, please follow me first of all, and please go find any of those pictures that I posted of the Norwegian Joy and like them and comment on them and retweet them. Do whatever you can to make Norwegian realize, oh, this guy has a lot of people who follow him that are into cruising. Know what I mean? All right, speaking of cruising, now we are finally, what is it? It's like 2.5 minutes into the video. Now we are finally getting to the actual subject of the video. This movie called Like Father. I will be spoiling this movie. So if you don't want to have any spoilers, then in advance I'll just say, do I think you should watch this movie? Yes. Do I think that you should sign up to Netflix if you've never had Netflix just to watch this movie? No, don't need to do it. Not for that. You should do it for all the other great things at Netflix, but not just for this movie. All right? So if you wanted the spoiler-free version, then just stop watching now, and thanks. I'll see you next week. All right. For everybody else who's not, who doesn't care about getting spoiled or getting spoilers, then I am going to start now telling you about this film. The film stars Kristen Bell, Kelsey Grammer, and Seth Rogan. And a little interesting tidbit here, the film was directed by Seth Rogan's wife. All right, when the film begins, Kristen Bell is on the telephone in some sort of very important business call. And you realize, because the camera pans out and you realize that she's in a wedding dress. So it's shortly before she goes to the altar and she can't stop working. And that is the whole premise of her character. So she walks down the aisle with her cell phone hidden in her flower bouquet, and it falls out at the altar. And then her husband decides, I can't marry you. You don't have enough time for me. Strangely enough, at her wedding, her long-lost father, who she hasn't seen since she was, I guess, like 5 years old, shows up. And they end up going to a bar together. So Kristen Bell's character and her father, played by Kelsey Grammer, they go to a bar together, get totally drunk, and basically they wake up on the harmony of the seas. That would be nice. Why doesn't that happen in real life? Anyways, they wake up on the harmony of the seas, and it's because her what was supposed to be husband had booked this cruise as their honeymoon. And in her and her dad's drunken stupor, they went and checked into the cruise anyways. But they didn't bring any baggage with, which, when I think of it, how did they solve that problem? If they didn't bring any luggage with, how did they identify themselves and get on the cruise? Anyways, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So they get on the cruise, and then during the cruise, they sort of get to know each other again. And she finds out why he left and why he hasn't talked to her for so long. And for a lot of the cruise, it seems like he's going to tell her that it seems like he's gonna come out, because he's talking about this special person in his life, his partner. They sort of really lead the audience on to make you think that he's gonna say he is gay, and that's why he left the family, and he was happy, and that's why he didn't come back, because he thought that it wouldn't be accepted. And then it turns out that he means, no, I'm talking about my business partner. And it's sort of like, well, you could have, everybody thought it was going to be that anyways. The more interesting twists, other than seeming like it was going to be gay, and then the twist being, no, just my business partner, would have been him saying it was his business partner the whole time, and then the twist being, actually, I've been lying to you, it's my partner, but they didn't do it that way. So, along the way, in the movie, they go to the main dining room, and here's one of the things that I thought was funny as a cruise fan and somebody who's been on so many cruises. There's a couple scenes in the movie that if you are somebody who's been on cruise ships or like cruising, where you watch it and you just think, okay, yeah, right. Like, that's what it's really like. But then there are other things that seem very cruise-like. Anyways, they go to the main dining room, and their table mates are 3 other married couples. And I mean, they're not a married couple, but people mistake them for being a married couple. And that's also something that I thought was kind of weird. If you've watched this film, do you also feel like there's moments where it's like, why does it seem like they are a married couple? Why does it seem like there's like sparks there? You know what I mean? Anyways, so the 3 other couples are 2 heterosexual couples, 1 younger, 1 older, and then a gay couple. And that dynamic is just sort of interesting. One of them's like a therapist, I think. Yeah, one of the gay guys is a therapist, and so he wants to help and all that. And so you see them meeting at the end of the day and going to eat, and they also go on an excursion. And here's, okay, the thing about meeting in the main dining room, or at the buffet, I guess, no, here's the thing. They meet, and it seems like a mix of the main dining room and the buffet, because there's food laid out all over, but there's waiters coming to bring them food, if I remember it right. Something about it just seemed weird, and it was obvious to me when I watched it, okay, that they didn't film that on the ship, or if they did, it was a part of the ship that I never saw, and I spent, 7, 8 days on that ship. But then they go on an excursion, and here there are quite a few things in this excursion, in the scenes of the excursion, where if you've been on a cruise, you're like, yeah, right. First of all, on the excursion, the only people on the excursion are them. Those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people and their tour guide. And they're in Jamaica. And on the way, the tour guide decides that he wants to get them all stoned. So, on the way, there's something dramatic happens. What happens again? I don't remember. And the tour guide is like, oh, I've got something that can calm you down. And so they all get stoned. And of course, that would never happen on a cruise ship excursion, at least not one on, organized by the ship. And it seemed, the way they played it in the film, it seemed like they were on a ship excursion. So then they go trekking through the jungle, and it's like really on like these small, like jungly paths, and they're pushing branches out of the way, and I also thought, okay, very unlikely that a cruise excursion would be really that roughing it, unless it's like really like a full-on hiking thing, and that just seemed unrealistic to me. So then they get to Blue Hole. That's what it's called, right? This little swimming area in the middle of the jungle in Jamaica with a waterfall into it. And there's nobody else there. They are the only 7 people around. And you can see them going swimming, and they're climbing up the rocks and everything, and nowhere else are there any other people. As if as if there's no other ships in port, and as if there aren't, 6,000 other people on the Harmony of the Seas, and none of the other people on that ship thought that that would be a good place to go to that day. Right. So another thing that was just kind of interesting is if you've seen any other videos of the Blue Hole, and I'm going to put a little picture in here now from one of the Sea Cruisers videos. So if you go watch their video now, I'm going to link it in the description below, the link to the video where I got this picture. Please write hello from me that I sent you, basically. Anyways, you can see that in the movie they sort of camouflaged this diving platform that's built there, and if you don't know that it's there when you're watching the movie, I think you wouldn't even notice it. It just sort of blends into the jungle. But I was like, wait a second, that's where they were jumping into the water from. So that's kind of an interesting thing as well. So the film goes on, and they become better friends, and everything sort of works out. And then you find out that Kelsey Grammer's character, the dad, that he's... Sorry, I just ate some nuts and I feel like they're stuck in my teeth. Some cashews in my teeth. Anyways, you find out that he's talking about his business partner and not about his lover, and that he just happens to have the lover's he just happens to have this business partner's ashes with him, and he wants to dump them off the ship into the ocean, and so that's what they do. And I won't tell you exactly how it ends, just so there's a little bit of suspense or a little bit of something that you don't know if you then do watch the film. So all in all, Marcus and I, we enjoyed watching it, but it was a cute film. It was very light. There were some fun moments of it, and all in all, like I said, I think for people who are not fans of Kristen Bell or Seth Rogan or cruising, I don't know. When it was over, I thought, okay, it's a good idea that they only made this movie for Netflix and didn't plan to do a full-on Hollywood premiere and distribute it in theaters across the world, because I don't think it would have been successful that way. It's very well produced, but I just think the story is just sort of kind of weak at times. But the performances in it are very, very good. I mean, Kristen Bell and Kelsey Grammer and Seth Rogan, of course, they're amazing. Like I said, I don't think that you really necessarily need to sign up for Netflix just to watch this movie. There are a lot of other good reasons to sign up for Netflix. But if you do have Netflix, then I would say the next time you're in the mood for something sort of light and fun, and you're done watching my Sunday story time or whatever other video of mine that you're going to watch, then sure, why not watch it? Sit down and watch it, and let me know if you see the things that I talked about, if they also sort of stick out to you, or if that you agree with the things that I said. All right? Because I'd just like to know if you if you've seen it or not, and if we agree. And now comes the time in Sunday Sofa Time where I comment on your comments. In last week's Sunday Sofa Time, I did something also that I've never done before, like I did this week, and that is I did a whole video based on your comments. Because the video that I did before that was talking about some of my dumb travel mistakes. And so in last week's video, if you haven't seen it yet, I talked about your dumb travel mistakes. And I'm so thankful, and I had a great time doing it. I'm thankful that you wrote them in, and I had a great time talking about them. And so these comments are sort of in relation to that and continuing it on. So this woman named Bren Revley wrote to me, and she says, so I'm in my 20s, and me and 3 other girls in our 20s are about to embark on our first trip to Costa Rica tomorrow. That sounds great. What could possibly go wrong? But luckily, we went through a travel group, and all our flights, hotels, transportation, and excursions are already pre-booked and paid for, and we are with a guide most of the time. So hopefully the mistakes we make won't be anything too serious, and we can just laugh about it. Bren, I think you've got it set up really well. I think that sounds like a very stress-free way to do it, just because it seems like It's all already taken care of and you have a guide with you. I think maybe the worst mistake you can make is miss your flight. I mean, that could still happen. Miss your flight, you could forget your passport, you could lose your passport, you could forget to meet up with the group or something. Or I'm not trying to make it sound like all these things are going to happen, but most of the mistakes that we talked about last week and the week before were things that could possibly happen to you too. So beware. All right. Jody Batchelor says, Morgan, I'm one of those travelers who has made some big travel mistakes. Most of them include a few too many adult beverages and a dark stateroom. Ooh, girl. Boom, chicka, boom, boom. One day, when I'm feeling brave, I'll expand. It's super funny. Jody, we are all looking forward to that now. All right, one more comment here, and this is from the Happy Gingers. The Happy Gingers writes, yeah, I wore my favorite bedazzled blouse once. No comment. And it lit up the screen like a Christmas tree. Needless to say, the TSA agent and I got to know each other very well. Ha ha. I wrote to her already, did you get a free massage? And she wrote back, not a very good one. So, there we go. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Thanks for sticking with me through this first time ever trying to review a movie. I hope you enjoyed it. And maybe if other cruise and theme park related movies come out, maybe I can review those as well. Like I said, please go back through social media and look at the posts of the last few days. And if you find anything from the Norwegian Joy, please give it some love just to sort of help me out and see what we can make out of that. And I will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.